everybody. I'm just waiting for my special guest to be able to join. Hopefully any minute now. Oh, here he is.
Hello, hi.
What a fantastic shade of green you have behind you.
Thank you.
I love the colour of your room. It's lovely. And
Yes,
painting too.
it's
Oh, I think I've lost you. Are you there? Or have you lost me? Hang on. Has anyone else lost David? Or is it just me that's lost David? I lost you there, David. I think it was my internet or yours.
might have been mine. Hear me now?
Yeah, but you're frozen again. I don't know if it's my end or not. I'm not sure. Laura, can you let me know if you can see David, or is he frozen for you? Is it my internet? I don't know whose end it is. All right, okay, cool. Right, we'll give it a couple of minutes, then we'll get started.
Yeah.
How are you, David? Are you doing all right?
I mean, yes and no, just like you, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything's stupid right now.
It's you. I feel better now. It's normally my terrible internet. Yeah, it's crazy times, isn't it? It's crazy
Yeah.
times at the moment. Yeah. But I'm really forward to chatting with you this evening. So yeah, I'm really glad that we got this tech to work, because I don't know about you on Instagram, but it's a bit of a whole new world to me. It's not something I'm massively familiar with.
Yeah.
So
Hi, Sammy. I just saw my coworker Sammy joined. Hi, Sammy.
Oh, that's cool. That is really cool. Right, okay. Well, I think we'll get started, and hopefully we will get some more people joining as we go along. David, thank you for sharing this as well. It's people are definitely keen to hear more about Umar. So looking forward to chatting about that with you. But yeah, I mean, I would say, I don't know how long I've known you for, David, now. It must be a few years.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of met, like a lot of us have met, really, just through this kind of shared passion for early years.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you've just become sort of, such a great connection. And I love following you on Twitter. And yeah, you just seem like someone who's on a really important journey. So looking forward to that. Oh no, I think it's great. I think, I don't know, you're very good at putting things into words, and you're very good at getting us to sort of stop and think. So I really am excited to hear a bit more from you this evening. But yeah, we've sort of united over the years, haven't we, on things like Bold Beginnings and all this kind of stuff. So it's sort of how the world of social media has sort of connected us, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is
yeah.
great.
So do you want to talk book?
What's
Do you
that?
want to talk book? Sorry, do you want to talk book?
Right, so what I want to know, David, from you, well, first of all, tell us a little bit about you and kind of, where you're based in terms of practice at the moment. Tell us a little bit about you, if you don't mind. That'd be great.
Sure. My name is David Cahn. I live in Leeds. I'm obviously not from Leeds. I'm from the US. I've been in the UK since 2016, and I've been most of that time at a primary school, where I've been mostly in early years, but this past 2 years I've been a special needs one-to-one. And in 2019, on a whim, I had a book I wanted to write because I was reflecting on one key child I had, and a 2-year-old boy I had, and I really, he was a boy fascinated with keys, and I was really reflecting on, like, the old me 5 or 6 years ago would have, like, missed all of this, and I was like, what could I do to try to get that old me to see how powerful what was happening with this boy was? So I wrote a book that was a story about that, about a boy interested in keys, but I wrote something for adults to trying to very accessibly give some of that stuff I've learned that has kind of flipped my switch on in a good way.
So yeah, I love this, because I've bought a couple of books this evening, but my books can't really compare to your book. And what I love about your book is that it's based on this child and his fascinations. I mean, what's the sort of reaction been to the book?
Um, Good. I wonder if some people are being like polite or something, like, "Oh, that was a good first try for a book," but it's been good. Um, people, I honestly think the section for adults resonates more with a lot of people, but I do know reading it to children firsthand, they enjoy it too. And something that was really important for me in this book was featuring a young South Asian boy in it because the majority of the children at my school are have an Asian background,
Mm-hmm.
and the field of books at the moment for non-white characters is just dismal. And it was funny for me to it felt like a bit of a risk being a white author trying to write something, but I think I did a fair job staying in my lane, not like saying this is what it means to be Muslim or this is what it means to be Bengali, because I don't know about that. That's not
No.
and nobody needs a book from me on that. But I did write a book inspired by interactions with this boy. That was part of my experience, and I hope I did it justice. And it is nice seeing children react to it, which is
Yeah.
wonderful.
And what about so tell us a little bit about this character Umar. Tell us a little
Hmm.
bit, what was it about him that really, obviously his fascination with keys, but sort of tell us a little bit I mean, that's his real name, right? Umar, you
Yeah,
based on you.
yeah.
But tell us a little bit about him when you were working with him.
He's a boy who, anytime I wanted to go in unlock something or use my little fob to open the door up, he wanted to do it, and he was just incredibly persistent. And I talk a good game online of child led this and child led that, but it really took me a few weeks to realize what was going on. And this is like he was determined to do this, and why not? Instead of trying to get to like I don't really plan many activities, but I was like, no, just let me do this. It'll be easier if I do it. Um, but he wore me down, and I did finally realize what was going on, and gave him a lot more time to practice. And of course, and wouldn't you know it, even though it was hard for him when he was, I mean, he's two. It did take him a long time. He did eventually get quite good at it. And if Sammy's still watching, I'm sure she remembers. I could just give him my key or badge for whatever, and he was happy to do it.
Wow.
And I also feel like I know a lot of children are into keys because it's a simple, benign thing to adults, but it's like we get to like control with a key, you get to control where people go in and out. And yeah.
I love that. I love the fact that you took this really, think about the EYFS, you took a really unique child with his unique fascination, which, as you say, so many children and will relate to that. So, tell us about the section for adults. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I'm a big nerd, and I do like reading about like early childhood stuff, but I recognize like it's just me and my wife at home. We don't have kids. I think I have a lot more free time than a lot of other practitioners. We just have two cats. I like to read this stuff because I just do. And I tried to write something explaining, like a very honest, not preachy, not judgmental, just introduction to like, here's this boy. He drove me nuts wanting to use my keys all the time. 5 years prior, I would have just not thought anything of it. But when I've learned things about self-regulation or executive function or these other buzzwords, when, uh, when I've learned what those mean and how important it is and how young children are at a stage to um, really pick that stuff up, it was like, oh, I don't know. I just feel like so much early years education, it's the adults on the ground and the system itself, we make it too damn complicated.
Mm,
Like it's really not that complicated, but the system we're in makes it complicated.
mm. And I think, do you know what? I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about how kind of in the past, with with Umar, you wouldn't have kind of wanted to let him have your keys. And I think that really says a lot actually, because I think for a lot of us sometimes, we're just kind of in a rush. We need to get everything locked up. We need to get inside, got our
Yeah.
coats for home time, and we really miss those really important moments that actually could really make a difference for a child because we're so busy on kind of our agenda. So
Hmm.
I think the whole fact that you've put this section in for parents, I think is fantastic because it makes us stop and think. Actually, you know what, if I let him use the keys, what's, you know, what's the problem with that? You know, what's going to happen? Actually, what is going to be the benefit of that for him, and how's it going to kind of inspire him? I think it's fantastic, and I know you are very kindly going to give a copy to somebody who's tuned in, so
Sure.
we will sort that out. So fantastic. So can you, you know, what are your plans then? So obviously we've got the, you know, we've got the fantastic Umar book. Have you got any plans for anything else moving forward?
Um, I have no idea. Like everything's I want to get through this school year. I want to keep
Yeah,
doing earlier stuff, but I also want to and I know you've been getting on this too, but I don't want to let this moment from the Black Lives Matter protests in the summer die down.
mm-hmm.
There's a there's a lot that has to be done bringing in looking at the realities of the real world and racism and other issues and how it affects nurseries, and I'm really keen to be supporting and connecting with other people who want to look at what that means specifically for early years education.
Yeah.
And and one you asked me to bring some other books I like. And one book I'd recommend, and Liz Pemberton, the Black Nursery Manager, recommended this. And I know everybody's busy. I know everything's full on. But at some point, if you're working in a nursery, you have to get this book. It might be backwards on the
It's called
screen, but
Wish We Knew What to Say, is that?
yes. Sorry if it's backwards, but it's
That's
about
right. I
talking with
actually somebody really helpful. I think it might have been a lady called Leanne who's here. She helped me learn how to flick the camera around. Otherwise, I couldn't do it either. Can you tell us a bit about that book, David?
It is a very accessible, very oh sorry, just a second.
You flicked it all
I'm
together.
sorry. Here, it is an accessible primer about what it says, talking with children about race.
Mm,
The truth is, a lot of white educators have no experience talking with children about race, and
mm.
white children, black children, Asian children, they absolutely pick up on those little hesitations or the little things we haven't looked in. So it's at some point, people do have to get it. It is just as important
Yeah.
as any. I'm going to put up there, Julie Fisher, anything else. Like this is, if early years is about teaching people, helping young children learn what it means to be human, like we have to
Mm.
be talking about this stuff too. It's a central book.
That's brilliant. And what I like about that, I mean, there are lots of books. I know we've been looking at some books together. There's lots of books that are kind of about anti-racism, sort of in general, but actually something that's really tailored for working with children.
Yes.
I think it's really, yeah, yeah. I'm thinking about, you know, I mean, I work in a school which is in a mainly sort of white dominated area. You know, we're not a massively diverse school, and yeah, I think no matter what sort of setting you're working in, whether you're working in somewhere really mixed or whether you're not, these are really, really important discussions. And yeah, I'm really glad. So you have to give me that name again. What was it called? Tell me what it was called again.
Wish we knew what to say.
And who was it by?
Dr. Pragya Agarwal, if I'm pronouncing that
Okay.
correctly, I'm not sure.
I've got somebody here in the chat who's saying it's a really great book, so fantastic. But I'll get that because actually that is yeah, I like the way it's actually written for educators.
Yeah.
I think, you know, sometimes children will ask you questions and they will say things to you, or they might say things to another child. And I think as a white person, it could be really difficult to know kind of what the right answer is. And I think sometimes you hear people say things like, oh, you know, oh, we don't see colour and things like that, which I think they're being actually helpful. But
Yeah.
it's my opinion, the complete opposite of being helpful. Um,
And
so yeah,
it's not true also.
no.
Like anybody who's saying they're colorblind is lying to themselves.
Mm, yeah, I mean, what was there was the book that we were looking at. I can't remember what the name of it was now. Oh, I need to find out the name of that book we were looking at together. I can't think what it was called, David. I need to find out the name, but it was talking a lot about, you know, things like that. When we say things, people say things like, oh, well, I don't see colour and all those kind of things. And I think sometimes as a white person, it can, you don't know what to say, you know, and it's, I think any book that empowers us to have these really important discussions with children um, is always a good thing. And I also think, and I've been talking quite a lot, on different training that I do, about how we all need to go away and really, I would say to all of you tomorrow, go back into your setting and look in your book boxes and look at what's in there and look at how, the representation of children. Um, because there was that quote I read in The Guardian, something like, I'm probably going to get it wrong now, only 5% of books feature, a non-white lead character.
And there's more books that have animal characters in
Yeah,
it than a black, Asian, or other
yeah.
racialized background person.
This
And
book about
yeah,
Umar
it's
is fantastic.
rancid.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know the exact statistic, but it's ridiculous,
Yeah,
and it's not letting children of any background see like the full range of the world, humanity, reality,
yeah.
and yeah.
Oh, that's great. Okay. And so, David, to tell us a bit more, so tell us about you and you kind of growing up, because I shared in the first session books that I loved when I was sort of growing up. So, as a child growing up, what were sort of some of your favourite books?
Mm, um, did the Redwall books come out here?
No, no, no. Tell us about that.
Oh, it's this whole series of it's like this fantasy series, but all the characters are animals.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
great.
and it's more like middle grade stuff, but that's one thing that definitely sticks in my head.
Yeah. And then sort of what about now? What sort of things? Obviously, you've shown us a book there, but what other sort of things do you enjoy reading sort of now?
I A lot of nonfiction. When you asked for books you wanted me to bring, I thought it was like any sort of book.
Yeah, go
So
for it.
my two recommendations are Wish We Knew What to Say. That's
Yeah.
all backwards for the people there. Again, at some point, if you work in early years, I know things are nuts, but you do have to read this book. Like we're failing in our jobs if we can't handle some of this stuff.
And what does it say in the speech bubble there, David? What does it say in the bubble?
Talking with children about race.
Yeah.
And it's very straightforward but very needed, and a lot of myself included um aren't up to snuff yet, but we can be, and it's not as actually hard and scary as we might want to think.
And does it give
No.
you sort of like really practical sort of things that you can
Yes.
kind of pick up and go with?
People have different skin colors. Some people have more melanin, other people don't.
Mm.
There's people who look like all sorts of things, who've done amazing things, and you can
Mm.
even, if it comes down to it, you can talk about historical issues, and it is very straightforward. It's very accessible.
Okay, well, I will be getting that one. That'll be on my list to get. So, what else do you have there? You said you have something else to show us.
Yeah, this book again, as I'm going to put it up, but it's going to be backwards. It's called Free to Learn by Peter Gray, and the little
Yeah.
subtitle is Why Unleashing the Instinct to Play Will Make Our Children Happier, More Self-Reliant, and Better Students for Life. And this book messed me up in the best possible way. It's very much about how children are genetically hardwired to pick up, the way I phrase it now is seek out the relationships, experiences, and sensory input they need for their development. And
Mm.
it if you it's very powerful. It's very, very powerful.
That was called Free to Learn, did you say?
Yeah, by Peter Gray.
Peter Gray. Yeah, I've seen a lot of his stuff. I've seen a lot of him. It was called Free to Learn, and by Peter Gray. I've seen a lot of his stuff online. A lot of
Yeah,
he's quite kind of authority, isn't he?
yeah,
In kind of, and I think it's really important, especially in the current climate with early years and kind of where things are heading, that we challenge ourselves. Now, did you say this book kind of messed you up in a good way when you read it?
yeah. It like made me probably like a proper like, as far as a person working in a school goes, like not afraid to be a little more rebellious about what I want to do and why. and like truly trusting children.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, thank you. Have you got anything else, or are those the ones you brought with you?
Those are the ones I brought with me. I am very much happy to keep talking, but how long did you want to go for? Just out of
Oh,
curiosity.
I've lost you. No, it's
Oh,
right. I will wrap it up in a minute. I'll show you two books that I bought today with me,
hmm
which hopefully really go on actually from the sort of things that you were talking about, David. This one is called The Skin You Live In,
hmm
uh, and it is by Michael Tyler, and it's actually from the Chicago Children's Museum. So I don't know, whereabouts are you from, David,
Seattle,
originally?
Washington.
All right, I'm not very good at
Yeah,
geography, as
don't
you
worry
know.
about it.
This is a really phenomenal book. I think I kind of stumbled across it. I think it maybe was on Twitter or Facebook. I follow a lot of things like I think what the initials are now, NAEYC, which is like sort of like an American sort of version of kind of early education.
Yeah.
And they have some really great stuff that you can pick up and read. And I think it might be defending the early years, one of those kind of groups. But this is a
hmm
really fantastic book about the skin you live in, and why I
Great.
love my children love it is we just it's got all different colours, and we kind
hmm
of sit and chat about the different colours. It's in a really lovely rhyming kind of format, and it's just about different skin you live in, and it's a really beautiful book, and the children love it. So that's a really great one to get onto,
Awesome.
especially perhaps linking to that book that you were showing us, David,
Entirely.
because when you sort of share these books with children, they do have questions, which
Of
is what
course.
in the very best classrooms the children ask the questions. I think Anna F. Grave, I think, said that. So yeah, we want these books that really stimulate thinking. So that's a really great book. Another great one. See, my books can't really compare, Dave, because obviously, your book's actually about a real child, which I think I love that. I love that about Umar. Yeah, I wonder what he's up to now. I wonder how that key fascination kind of. I wonder if that's still going strong for him.
Well, yeah, I don't know. He's in reception now. I can't go there because of the bubble, but
That's fascinating.
I yeah.
Do you know what? When you think about children like that, you just really hope that they kind of go through education and have teachers that give them that freedom.
Oh, that's a huge can of worms, isn't it? I hope so too.
That's what I mean. That all the time, working in reception. I think, I know what we're doing, and I think I really hope and the reality is probably linking back to the work of Peter Gray. The reality is once they get into, primary education, it's kind of a bit of a sausage factory, isn't it?
Yeah, and uh, I, I mean, this ties in, but yeah, just I mean, young children are so intelligent, but like the way the school system works at the moment is you have to be X, Y, Z, and this type of compliant,
Mm.
and this and this and this to be seen as intelligent, and
Yeah,
and it's working class kids, it's children of color, it's neurodivergent kids, it's like anybody who's not like the certain white middle class guy norm who more often pay the price,
you
and
know what? So many
it's not
examples of that.
right.
So many examples of that. And I
Yeah,
know that I'm talking about the sort of the revised DYFS a lot, and sometimes I'm quite critical of it. But I do think that we're kind of in a place where the curriculum is sort of very, a white dominated, white version of a curriculum, and it links back to cultural capital, and whose cultural capital matters, and who decides what matters, and who decides which songs children should be singing. I think there's so much around that you've kind of made me think about, really. But yeah, there's really,
yeah.
really, really great books out there. Obviously, Umar's a great book. It's about a real little boy, and we love that. And I love that fascination he has. Another great book that we share in my class quite a lot is My Hair.
Yeah,
This is
that's a
My
good
Hair.
one.
Seen this one before?
Yeah,
by Hannah Lee. It's fantastic. It's just got all different hairstyles in it, which my children love. And we have got a little girl in the class who's got some of these, who's had some of these hairstyles. But just the fact it ends with her getting an afro, I think is fantastic. And we have a big talk about what an afro is, and how you wear an afro, and just those sorts of discussions. And it's just a really, really fantastic. This is a really fantastic book as well. So My Hair is Great, and The Skin You Live In is great. And then we've heard about the wonderful Umar, and also that really important book, and I'll get you to name again in a minute, David, so I don't forget it. What was it? Something like Things We Need? No, not Things We Need to Say.
Wish We Knew What to Say. Talking with Children About Race by Dr. Pragya Agarwal. Yeah.
Right. That is the book that I think we all need to be going away and getting. Yeah. I think I'm really glad. I've been looking for something like that.
And it's not when I'm like making these proclamations about what early years people need to do. Like in one sense, we all do need to make these changes yesterday, but it's what matters is going in a better direction and being consistent and keeping that momentum going. Like, don't be like, oh, I have to get this so I can be a good white educator or this or that. Like that, on one sense, that's true, but it's also it's got to be a long-term thing. So like we don't have to like rush ourselves. And I'm saying that because I can do that myself, but it kind of gets in the way.
And you know what? I know we've had some discussions about sort of trying to get everything right, and this idea of trying to be a perfectionist, and it's not going to be like that. This is a real journey, and you will sometimes get it wrong, and you learn from that, and you kind of don't beat yourself up too much. You move on.
Yes.
You're sort of doing the best. You do the best you can until you know better, and you keep working at it.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And I'm aware people might be thinking, watching tonight, oh, we've got two white people here talking about race. I'm really aware of that. But I think I was so keen to share with you David's work. And I think it's really important to have these discussions. But future editions, I am speaking to a wide range of voices, including the wonderful Laura Henry Elaine, who's created Jojo and Gran Gran, Liz Pemberton. So, I'm really looking at how we can, I think if anything comes from me sitting here on a Monday night in my office after being at work all day, if anything comes from it, what I would like to come from it is that we think much more carefully about the representation in our books and about those really important colleagues, I think, too, David.
Froze for me just a minute.
The discussions with colleagues
Absolutely.
are so important,
and if anybody's
and can be very, very challenging. Right, we seem to have lost David again with his internet, so I think he's back. I'm just
sorry about that.
No, it's all right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I was just saying it's about having those discussions with colleagues as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, we're busy, but it's we have to make the time. We have to make the time for, like when we talk about standing up for our pedagogy, this has to be part of it too. And I definitely know the pressures, but it doesn't make, if we don't find the time, we're complicit in a lot of in racist educational outcomes and not enjoying our jobs as much and a lot of other things. It is tough. I fully get the pressures. We have to learn how to make the time.
No, completely. And I think, we're failing all children. We're failing children of colour by not representing them, and we're failing white children too. So absolutely crucial. Right, okay. So I think we're going to start wrapping it up.
Okay.
Any questions, please ask them in the box. But before we wrap it up, David's very kindly said that he will give a copy of Umar away. So I'm going to have a little look at who's watching, and we'll do a lucky dip, and we will see who the lucky winner is. Let's have a look. And the lucky winner is EY Happy Harris. So EY Happy Harris,
Yay.
you DM me, EY Happy Harris. you are now the proud owner of a fantastic copy of Umar. So EY Happy Harris, please, please, please drop me a DM. And I'm sure with David's help, we will get Umar in the post on the way to you. Now, has anybody, before we wrap up, anyone got any questions? Oh, well done, EY Happy Harris. Has anyone got any questions for David at all they'd like to put in the chat? Anyone got any questions or comments? That'd be great to hear from anyone who's got anything they want to ask before we wrap it up for the evening. Oh, EY Happy Harris. Well, your name is Happy Harris, so I hope you are happy, EY Happy Harris. Just David, thank you so much for finding.
Thank you, Elaine.
And Liz has just arrived. Liz, where have you been, Liz? You have missed a great discussion.
She's probably been doing a million
Liz,
things.
I'm afraid next time I'm going to... She's a very busy, very, very busy lady. So David, before we wrap up, have you got anyone that you think people should be following on Instagram or Twitter? Who are the sort of key players we need to be following and sort of listening to at the moment, would you say, from your experience?
Oh, I don't like these questions because there's so many great people and people are going to feel left out. But I am going to say you, Liz Pemberton, Carrie Payne, EYFS for me, Jamel Carley, Kate Moxley. There's a lot of people, and I imagine a lot of people watching this already do follow them. But there's I don't know, just keep looking out for there's lots of people out there. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm definitely going to be buying that book, David, that you told us to buy. So just before we wrap up, David, just give us the name one more time. I've got a few later. Give us the name. This is honestly, I think this has been an important discussion. And I think this book that you're telling us about is so important that,
it is.
You know, if you're going to go and buy a book, please make it this one. Go on, David, one more time.
Again, it's backwards, but Wish We Knew What to Say, Talking with Children About Race, has the nice brown and pink cover. It's to the point, it's accessible, it's like concrete, everything. It has to be part of early years practice, just point blank. And even if your setting has all white children, it's still it's very, very needed. And again, it was Liz Pemberton who recommended that. And before we go, I also want to say if people can go to my page if they want to buy a copy of Umar, and all the profits are going to 3 really good efforts in Leeds, and you can read more about it on my page. So
it's Umar by David Cahn.
Yeah.
David, where can we find it to buy it? What is your page?
It's David N. Cahn, CAHN, David N. Cahn books.bigcartel.com. And you can, if you go to my Instagram page, it's all there.
Fantastic. And I will say before we really, really go, it's great to have Liz just joined us this evening. Liz is actually involved in Birth to 5 Matters with us, helping us to develop this early years guidance by the sector for the sector. So if anyone isn't aware of Birth to 5 Matters, please get involved. It's going to be a great tool in your toolbox as we face the new EYFS reforms, because, you know, it comes, what I think David's talking about is so important that our practice, our provision, our pedagogy, you know, we're developing this really anti-racist, inclusive way of working. So please get involved with Birth to 5 Matters. Well, David, all I've got to say is thank you for being my first guest.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much for sharing Umar with us. What a fantastic book. And thanks everyone for tuning in. And I'll look forward to seeing you all next week. And thanks again, David. Make sure you follow David, everybody. He's fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you, everybody. Good evening.
Bye. Thank you.